One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. Then let me be free.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges. A host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart, steel, and a spirit unbroken. He rides on two wheels, ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow, he takes his stand, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hear his last one cry. Metal and mayhem will never die. Rituals report he pays his way. More legend in the making, day by day.
Well, good morning and happy Monday to all you freaking legends in the building. Shout out to all you guys, man. Great to see everyone. So yesterday, right before I was, I guess the evening time, I got a sore throat again. I was like, oh, hell nah. So yeah, anyways, a little painful today. Took my Sudafed. I'm going to end up probably sleeping today and then going to the doctor sometime tomorrow after the show tomorrow. But this is what we do, man. This is what we struggle through it. We don't give a fuck. Anyways, today the way that we have this lined up is MLK Day celebrations. As you guys know, it's MLK Day, as well as Trump threatens tariffs, and he does that against many European countries that are protecting Greenland and Denmark and stuff like that. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit, which leads us into Greenland's latest, as well as Iran updates and top stories. That's the way that we have this titled this morning. But we have 13 huge things going on in the eyes of the news this morning. So usually we cover anywhere about like 8 to 10. Sometimes we'll do 11, 12 on a very busy day, and today we're doing 13, so it feels ultra good. Jeez. So we're going to start off with the Trump tariffs against these European countries. 10% tariff on Denmark and UK countries over Greenland control. And this is basically going to happen until there's a complete and utter transfer. Okay, so I looked this up, by the way. And so let me go ahead and bring this up, and I'll go ahead and tell you guys what I looked up here. Give me a sec to find it. Here we go. So it says Trump has announced a plan to impose new tariffs on several European countries, specifically Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, the UK, the Netherlands, and Finland, tied to his ongoing effort to force a deal on Greenland. Tariff details: 10% tariff on imports from those countries starting February 1st of 2026. But then it rises, it escalating to 25% by June 1st of 2026, unless the U.S. secures what he calls, quote, complete and total control of Greenland. So that's what the tariff threats are. Then we're going to be talking about Iran, and Iran's supreme leader calls Trump a quote-unquote criminal, as you guys know, blames him for protesters' deaths. And we also have Iranian officials that are essentially giving out a specific number of how many people have died, and that's they say over 5,000 people. But they were speculating a lot higher, but 5,000 people is still a huge amount of people. And then we're going to be talking about U.S. strikes. Syria kills terrorist leader, CENTCOM says, and this happened yesterday. It actually happened on Friday in their time, local time. So let me go ahead and read this. U.S. Central Command, which is CENTCOM, conducted a airstrike, excuse me, in northwest Syria on Friday, saying it killed a leader affiliated with Al-Qaeda who has ties to an ISIS terrorist responsible for the ambush that killed 2 U.S. service members and an American interpreter on December 13th. Remember, we already watched and reported on that whole thing, and then Trump actually did do a strike already in retaliation of the 3 people that died, the 2 soldiers and the interpreter. So interesting that there was more to come of it. So we're going to obviously do what we do is follow what's happening here. Then Trump threatens European tariffs amid Greenland push, which I just told you what those numbers actually are. It's going to start off at 10% tariff starting February 1st of 2026, and then escalating up to 25% by June 1st of 2026. Very interesting times. We got federal judge restricts ICE agents amid Minnesota protests. I wonder what for. I wonder what activist judge got involved. Deadly protest. Iran Supreme Leader guilty of, quote, violence at levels never seen before, Trump says. Now, I'm sure that we've already heard him say that. That's something that's not uncommon of Trump to say right there. DOJ investigation of Fed Chair Powell sparks backlash as well. Then we have activists attacked. Jake Lang, pardoned January 6th rioter, attacked in Minneapolis, and I guess that happened yesterday. Brutal. Then we are, of course, as you guys know, we're following the New York nurses that have been on strike. We're talking thousands of nurses they're striking. So they're entering their 7th day as of yesterday. Today will be the 8th. But we do have an update on them for you guys. Then we have Trump responds after Iran leader calls him a quote-unquote criminal. And then we have 1,500 troops prepare for Minneapolis deployment amid protests. And then we are going to be moving into UK Prime Minister Starmer pushes back against Trump's tariff threat. Now, I saw that coming, and this is only coming out just 2 hours ago. So that happened this morning. And then multiple people killed in Spain train collision. And this came up last minute. It was actually one of the latest stories being put out right before I hit go live. It says at least 39 people were killed and dozens of others were injured after 2 high-speed trains collided in southern Spain on Sunday evening. Man, that's fucking terrible. That is terrible, terrible news. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, as you guys can see, we're getting to it. We got a lot to get to. Let's go ahead and do our call to actions and get right into this. Please make sure you guys come in and hit that like button, as well as double tap the screen if you're on the vertical side. I very much appreciate that. If you guys are brand new here, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, because this is what we do Monday through Friday, reporting the news for an hour at least. And then, of course, we have members only on Saturday mornings, same time. So, feels ultra good. And please consider, though, becoming a member starting only at $3.99 a month. We're making sure we're not breaking the bank out there with anybody. But check it out. This is what allows us to be on these airwaves, as well as have these lights on. So, I very much appreciate you guys. Little side note here. Follow my Instagram at BallValveTV, where I post everything behind the scenes of not only my life, but as well as the show, Millennial Food Time, breaking news. The campaign trail. It's a great way to get a hold of me one-on-one. We also have a Discord server for all of you legends. One of the moderators will go ahead and drop the link for you guys. If not, go into the video description down below and check out the invite link for that. And last but not least, all super chats, super stickers, gifted memberships, and membership signups are, of course, all going to be presented live and shouted out onto the show. But if you guys would like to skip that YouTube 30% brutal cut that they take from your hard-earned cash, we have these platforms right here that you guys can donate to, and I get 100% of the proceeds. And, of course, I'll read out whatever you guys send and your message, just like a super chat. So I've got my email up, ready to go, and very much appreciate all you legends, man. So great to see everyone in the chat, man. We got Carrie as well as Glare in the building. We got Jimmy Mack as well as Brennan. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We got Warland as well as Motobomb. Yes, sir. Great to see you guys. Good morning. We got Liquored Up with Poncho as well as Rabbit of Chaos. Good morning to you guys. We're scrolling down. We got Bill Castle as well. Good morning to you. Great to see you in the chat. We got Frank as well. We got Prez. Good morning. Good morning. We got my man, Sick Bastard. By the way, thank you for the raid this morning. I very much appreciate the love and support that you show, man. We got Naomi in the building. Shout out to you. Good morning to you. Thank you for hanging out with us and moderating. Always appreciate all of you guys that are mods. We got Baked Bizquick in here as well. Very much appreciate it. We got Two Wheel Jesus. Yes, sir. Great to see you. We got my man Straight Jacket. Good morning to you. Great to see you, kind sir. Scrolling down, making sure that we're going to try to get as much as you guys. We got Joseph up there in Canada, my man, our favorite snow Mexican. Good morning, Mr. Ball, Lucy, Breakfast Crew, Bob, and can't forget the haters. Stop the cap.
Stop the cap.
Yes, sir. Great to see you. We got Pablo as well. We got Steve Posey, my man. Yes, Operation Bowling Ball. That is a fact. That is what is happening. All right, so we're going to get right into this. We got 13 crazy stories to get through. We're not going to be listening to every single bit of every single one of them. We're going to be skipping ahead, Xing out shit that doesn't matter. Anytime there's speculation, I don't give a fuck about none of that. I want to know what's happening.
Now, this is a fairly lengthy post, but I do want to pull it up for you right now, as we know that President Trump has said that he is going to impose a 10% tariff for those European countries who are opposing U.S. control of Greenland. Now, the post, as I mentioned, fairly lengthy, and it does say, we have subsidized Denmark and all of the countries of the European Union and others for many years by not charging them tariffs or any other forms of remuneration. Now, after centuries, it is time for Denmark to give back. World peace is at stake. China and Russia want Greenland, and there is not a thing that Denmark can do about it. They currently have 2 dog sleds as protection, one added recently. Only United States of America under President Donald J. Trump can play in this game, and very successfully at that. Nobody will touch this sacred piece of land, especially since the national security of the United States and the world at large is at stake. On top of everything else, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, the UK, the Netherlands, and Finland have journeyed to Greenland for purposes unknown. That is a very dangerous situation for the safety, security, and survival of our planet. These countries who are playing this very dangerous game have put a level of risk in play that is not tenable or sustainable.
Real quick, I'm going to pause it right there because I want to point this out. The main important thing here that you're going to see here is just like I had stated to you guys, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, and Finland will be charged a 10% tariff on any and all goods sent to the United States of America on June 1st, 2026. The tariff will be increased to 25%. And I already told you guys exactly that on June 1st of 2026. So that is the important or very important thing that's happening
Therefore,
here.
it is
The first 10% tariff happens on February 1st, I believe.
imperative that in order to protect global peace and security, strong measures be taken so that this potentially perilous situation end quickly and without question.
Yes,
Starting
February
on February
1st.
1st, all of the above-mentioned countries, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, the UK, the Netherlands, and Finland, will be charged a 10% tariff on any and all goods sent to the U.S. On June 1st, the tariff will be increased to 25%. This tariff will be due and payable until such time as a deal is reached for the complete and total purchase of Greenland. The United States has been trying to do this transaction for over 150 years. Many presidents have tried, and for good reason, but Denmark has always refused. Again, as I mentioned, a lengthy statement here, now because of the Golden Dome and
Yeah, definitely a lengthy statement. I mean, he really went off on this one. We got Chatting with Stacks, my man. Good morning to you. Great to see you in the chat. Hopefully you're enjoying your morning so far.
Weapon systems, both offensive and defensive. The need to acquire is especially important. Hundreds of billions of dollars are currently being spent on security programs having to do with the dome, including the possible protection of Canada. And this very brilliant but highly complex system can only work at its maximum potential and efficiency because of angles and bounds. If this land is included in it, the U.S. is immediately open to negotiation with Denmark and or any of these countries that have put so much at risk despite all that we have done for them, including maximum protection over so many decades. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Again, President Trump posting that a short time ago.
Definitely lengthy. That was via Truth Social, by the way. All right, so we're going to move on. Iran's supreme leader calls Trump a quote-unquote criminal. As you guys already know, something that we discussed a little bit on Friday. We were talking a little bit about that last week in total, but nonetheless, he calls him a quote-unquote criminal, blames him for a protester's death. Now, let's go ahead and see if this is any type of speculation or new information. If they're just speculating with an analysis, then we'll just move on.
Right now, I do want to get you right into some of the big stories that we are covering here at this hour. And of course, a big story coming in out of Iran, as Iran's supreme leader this morning now calling President Trump a, quote, criminal, saying he's, quote, guilty of slander and is involved in the sedition playing out in Iran.
Shit, what's up, Dirty? Good morning.
Ayatollah Ali Khamenei
Alfred, my
posting
man.
a long thread, a rant, so to speak, on X, referring to the nationwide protests against the regime that have died down over the past couple days. Now, in part,
And real quick, I don't know if I said good morning to Mountain Woman. Good to see you in the chat, by the way, if I didn't say hi already. We got Marilyn as well. Good morning. Good morning. Hopefully you guys are enjoying your morning so far.
Supreme Leader wrote here, from the beginning of the Islamic Revolution until today, the U.S. has lost its dominance over Iran, and they want to bring Iran under their military, political, and economic dominance again. The U.S. president sent a message to the seditionists saying he would support them and provide military support. In other words, the U.S. president himself was involved in the sedition. These are criminal acts. He went on to say, quote, the U.S. president introduced the groups who committed acts of vandalism, arson, and murdered people as, quote, the Iranian nation. He uttered an appalling slander against the Iranian people. We find the U.S. president guilty for this slander.
Damn. Saw that coming, though. I'm going to be honest. Definitely saw that coming. So as you guys know, 5,000 is the official number of deaths that happen over there in Iran regards to the protests. That's the official number from Iranian officials.
The remarks come as President Trump on Friday was asked about potential U.S. military action against Iran, saying Iranian officials told him that the killing of protesters was over.
As you know, Iran canceled the hanging of over 800 people. They're going to hang over 800.
Now, as you guys know, we reported on this very clip right here on Friday. So we're going to go ahead. They're just bringing back so they tell, showing the timeline a little bit. But we don't need to do that. We've already done that. So we're going to move on. We got more shit updates on Iran anyways. So we don't need to go into speculation on that. So anyways, U.S. strike in Syria kills terrorist leader, CENTCOM says. Now, let me go ahead and read this to you guys again, just in case you missed it in the very beginning. U.S. Central Command, which is CENTCOM, conducted a strike in northwest Syria on Friday, saying it killed a leader affiliated with al-Qaeda who had ties to an ISIS terrorist responsible for the ambush that killed 2 U.S. service members and an American interpreter on December 13th. And that's something that we had also reported on December 13th. So now we're following the story of what is happening in Syria. Let's go ahead and figure this out.
Thanks for being with us here on Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Christina Evans. We do want to bring you some breaking news. This is just coming out via our partners there at Fox News. I'm going to put this up on your screen. This is there from CENTCOM as well, saying that the U.S. Central Command conducted a strike in northwest Syria on January 16th. This resulted in the death of a leader affiliated with al-Qaeda who had direct ties to an ISIS terrorist responsible for an ambush, which killed 2 U.S. service members and an American interpreter on December 13th, 2025. Bilal Hassan al-Jazim was an experienced terrorist leader who plotted
What's up, Virginia Chaos? Good morning.
attacks, who was directly connected with the ISIS gunmen who killed and injured American and Syrian personnel last month in Palermo, Syria. And so this statement does continue on to say here that the death of this terrorist operative linked to the death
And we got Brother Hardwire, all you legends coming in. Appreciate you guys.
of 3 American demonstrates our resolve in pursuing terrorists who attack our forces. This is according to Brad Cooper there, the CENTCOM commander, saying there is no safe place for those who conduct, plot, or inspire attacks on American citizens and our warfighters. We will find you. The statement does wrap up here saying that CENTCOM launched a large-scale strike there in Syria in response to that December 13th attack. The operation, though, has been dubbed Hawkeye Strike. It has resulted in the U.S. and partner forces hitting more than 100 ISIS infrastructure and
Damn. Okay, the operation dubbed Hawkeye Strike resulted in U.S. and partner forces hitting more than 100 ISIS, infrastructure and weapons side targets with over 200 precision munitions. Wow.
weapons site targets.
And then it says captured more than 300 ISIS operatives and killed over 20 across Syria during the past year. removing terrorists who posed a direct threat to the United States and regional security. Very interesting. I wonder what regional security they're referring to, huh? All right, so we're going to go ahead and move on. Trump threatens European tariffs amid Greenland push. As you guys know, the 10%, then it hikes up to 25. Let's go ahead and bring this up and see if there's any more to discuss about it. They may just have an analysis, somebody come on and give their analysis of it, but we don't really need to do that.
Let's begin our coverage with the White House's dealings with Greenland. Today, Greenland becoming a fast-moving issue at the intersection of trade, security, and Arctic geopolitics. President Trump announcing new tariffs targeting several European countries, tying the pressure campaign to renewed U.S. demands around Greenland. The president posting this lengthy message this morning. I'm going to read it. We have subsidized Denmark and all of the countries of the European Union and others for many years by not charging them tariffs or any other forms of remuneration. Now, after centuries, it is time for Denmark to give back. World
Now,
peace is
hold on. This is what we had read, or what we had already heard from Truth Social. We don't need to hear it again. We already did that. So then they bring on Hal Kempfer to talk about this, which is not surprising, but we're going to move on. Like I said, we got like fucking tons of stories to get through this morning. We have a busy Monday. Okay, federal judge restricts ICE agents amid Minnesota protests. Let's go ahead and bring this up, and we'll go ahead and talk about it here. Let's go ahead and bring it up. Give me a second here. Boom.
retired Marine Intelligence Officer,
Why is it slow like that? That's their side.
National Security Analyst, and host of the Strap podcast. It's immediately.
I'll say Don Kerr.
Damn, he got fucked up.
Commonly employed by the officers.
Real quick, before they get into it, because it's going to be Cal Hemfer talking about it too, which we don't really need here. National Security Analyst Hal Kempfer joins live now, as you guys know, to discuss a new court ruling in Minnesota that limits how federal immigration agents can deal with protesters. Agents are barred from retaliating peaceful protesters. Of course, if they're peacefully protesting and they're not being violent, they shouldn't be able to fuck with them. That's the way I truly do believe that we have an absolute right to protest, but peacefully. But what we have been seeing has not been peaceful. The court order says chemical irritants and other crowd dispersal tools, as well as performing stops and detentions, are not allowed without proper legal justification. This comes as Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has mobilized the National Guard, to be ready to assist law enforcement as major protests continue in wake of deadly shooting of Renee Nicole Good by an ICE agent. All right. So as you guys know, federal agents have now, or a federal judge. I'm sad that they didn't cite which judge restricted this, but at least you guys know that is happening right now. Very interesting to see if that'll be overturned or what's going to happen there. All right, we're going to go into deadly protests. Iran Supreme Leader guilty of, quote, violence at levels never seen before, Trump says. Yeah, it sounds just like a Trump quote, by the way, so let's go and bring it up.
Okay, let's keep things international for a moment here. A live look at the White House.
And real quick, before we do, though, we haven't even gotten to the money part yet, dude. We got to get the money part.
All right, just get the money part done.
Give me money. Money me. Money now. Me a money needing a lot now.
Yes, we got, by the way, 250 people in here. Make sure you guys double tap the screen if you're on the vertical side. Hit that like button if you're on the horizontal. I very much appreciate that.
It's the time in the nation's capital, 6:15. Let's continue to track.
What's up, brother Lee Lance?
My
man, good morning.
Blames outside actors, like the United States, for the recent deadly protests in his country. Khomeini is calling President Trump a criminal, while Trump is telling Politico that it's, quote, time to look for new leadership in Tehran. Associated Press, United Nations correspondent Farnoosh Amiri here with me. Khomeini is publicly blaming President Trump for the bloodshed that's happened as of late. He's portraying the unrest as sort of a foreign-driven plot, which is a narrative that Iran has used before to rally support at home and deflect international pressure. From your reporting at the UN, how is Iran trying?
I really don't. I'm going to be honest. I don't follow. So my opinion would be irrelevant.
To sell that story to other countries right now?
Yeah, so it's spent the past few weeks trying to build this narrative, as you said, of foreign influence in Iranian protests, which started off because of economic pressure and uncertainty that, the more than 90 million residents and citizens of Iran have faced for months, but it's gotten to a new low with the rial falling at historic lows. And what that unrest turned into was an anti-government sentiment that has been simmering for years. And Iran, not being able to handle the amount of protests, has decided to pursue, accusations of foreign influence. And it's.
But I'd really like to hear the actual quote rather than the analysis of it. I really don't want to sit here hearing an analysis of the whole thing. Okay, well, that's all this is. So we're going to go ahead and move on. I'm not going to sit here and do that. I care about the facts. I don't care about what people think about what said facts could be. All right, DOJ investigation of Fed Chair Powell sparks backlash. Let's go ahead and bring this up, and we'll go ahead and discuss it real quick.
Welcome back into Live Now from Fox, and we are tracking the Department of Justice's investigation into a Federal Reserve Chair.
Shit, real quick, we got my man Alfred Patterson, by the way, sending $5 on the Cash App saying, "Stop the cap, bro.
Stop the cap."
I very much appreciate that, and thank you for making it rain inside of the Cash App, man. I very much appreciate that. Let's fucking go.
Powell. Now, the AP saying this, that the Justice Department has threatened the Federal Reserve with a criminal indictment over the testimony of Chair Powell this summer regarding its building renovations. That's what Powell had said over the weekend last week. It's a major escalation by the administration after repeated attempts by President Trump to exert greater control over the independent institution. Now, Chris Rugaber with the AP wrote that article that I was referencing just now, and he joins us here at Live Now from Fox. Good morning, Chris. Good to have you.
And real quick, before he gets to it, we got my man J.R. Bowling, by the way, Alabama's next senator for District 4. It's going to be awesome. He's on the road right now. He's traveling because of he's a volunteer firefighter, and he's got to do some stuff for the department. So he's traveling right now, picking up equipment. Feels ultra good. Hopefully you're driving safe, sir.
Morning. Thanks for having me.
Of course. All right, so let's just break down everything that you learned through your reporting. First of all, how unprecedented is it to see the DOJ involved in a situation like this, especially when we know that the Federal Reserve is independent?
It's pretty unusual. I don't think there's been a case since the Fed was founded over 100 years ago where a sitting chair has been investigated by the Justice Department. So, yeah, this is very unusual. And then it was unusual for Chair Jerome Powell to respond more forthrightly than he has before and really publicly put out there how unusual this is.
I appreciate that, Big Dan. Much love and respect. Hopefully you're enjoying the morning.
So you talk about Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell responding. Now, he did issue a video statement on X. Now, that was last Monday, but in case people missed it, I do want to play it out quickly here. So, Chris, just stand by for 1 second, and let's just show the viewers what Fed Chair Powell had to say.
Real quick, before we hear what Powell had to say here, we got my man, Jake, in the building. Shout out to you. Hopefully you're enjoying your morning. Fantastic content creator and debater, by the way, political commentator as well. Go check him out.
Regarding the situation.
What's up, Jason?
On Friday,
Good morning.
the Department of Justice served the Federal Reserve with grand jury subpoenas, threatening a criminal indictment.
Okay, we've already heard this. We reported on this already. I believe we reported on this last week. But nonetheless, we'll go ahead and allow this to play since they're bringing it up as a reference.
Related to my testimony before the Senate Banking Committee last June. That testimony concerned, in part, a multi-year project to renovate historic Federal Reserve office buildings. I have deep respect for the rule of law and for accountability in our democracy. No one, certainly not the chair of the Federal Reserve, is above the law. But this unprecedented action should be seen in the broader context of the administration's threats and ongoing pressure.
Real quick, we got brother Lee Lance coming in and dropping $5 in the Cash App as well, man. Let's fucking go. He says, God bless this beautiful chat. My man, thank you very much for that. Let's fucking go. Very much appreciate that. Dues paid.
This new threat is not about my testimony last June or about the renovation of the Federal Reserve buildings. It is not about Congress's oversight role. The Fed, through testimony and other public disclosures, made every effort to keep Congress informed about the renovation project. Those are pretexts. The threat of criminal charges is a consequence of the Federal Reserve setting interest rates based on our best assessment of what will serve the public, rather than following the preferences of the president. This is about whether the Fed will be able to continue to set interest rates based on evidence and economic conditions, or whether instead monetary policy will be directed by political pressure or intimidation. I have served at the Federal Reserve under 4 administrations, Republicans and Democrats alike. In every case, I have carried out my duties without political fear or favor, focused solely on our mandate of price stability and maximum employment. Public service sometimes requires standing firm in the face of threats. I will continue to do the job the Senate confirmed me to do, with
What's up, Brother Slim? Good morning.
integrity and a commitment to serving the American people. Thank you.
And those were just some of the comments that we heard from Fed Chair Jerome Powell. He hasn't said anything since he released this statement.
Very interesting. So nothing since. Okay, so if nothing since, what else are we going to talk about? We're going to speculate? Yeah, I'm not interested. We're moving on. Activists, let's see. Activists attacked. Jake Lang, pardoned January 6th rioter, has been attacked in Minneapolis. This happened yesterday. Or actually on Saturday it happened, but then it was reported on Sunday. As anti-ICE protests continued Saturday in Minneapolis, video showed pardoned January 6th rioter and conservative activist Jake Lang being attacked as he reportedly took part in an anti-Islam and pro-ICE rally. Very interesting. Let's go ahead and bring this up. We'll go ahead and discuss it. And real quick, before we do, as I always tell you guys daily, you must embrace your fuck-ups. All right, Chad?
Don't beat yourself up over past mistakes. You are going to fuck up again in the future, quite possibly in a most spectacular fashion. Why worry about yesterday's fuck-ups when you have tomorrow's fuck-ups to look forward to? You are a fuck-up. And fucking up is part of your growth process. Embrace the process.
True, though. All right, let's get into this.
Welcome
quick
back
update.
here on Live Now from Fox. My name is Josh Breslow, and we do have some developing news that we want to get to here at this hour. Take a look at your screen as anti-ICE protests continued on Saturday in Minneapolis.
What's up, Frog? Good morning to you. Great to see you in the chat, bro.
Video shows pardoned January 6th rioter and conservative
Hey, you.
activist Jake Lang being attacked as he reportedly took part in an anti-Islam and pro-ICE rally. Jake did post this image on social media saying, quote, "I was almost ripped limb from limb, my pants leg literally being ripped."
Damn, they literally are pulling each part of his limbs. That's fucking kind of crazy. We got Dwayne Martin in the building. Shout out to my man as well. I really hope that they actually show the video, but I'm guaranteeing you they did not in this segment. I hope they do, but we got Tootie Bug as well. Great to see you in the chat. Great to see you. Good morning.
Death before dishonor and replacement. The Lord is my rock and my strength, and he hath delivered me.
And yes, by the way, I do stream on Twitch, but I used to stream on Twitch primarily. Like, that's my only streaming platform I was on for years. But now I'm a YouTuber. I've switched over to YouTube, but I do still stream over on Twitch. Anyways.
From the mouth of the lions, end quote. Again, that is a post there from Jake on social media. Some footage showed Lang bleeding from his head and stumbling through a crowd surrounding him. Take a look at your
bleeding from his head.
Screen. Lang was reportedly planning to burn a Quran at Minneapolis City Hall during an anti-Islam.
Oh, he's going to burn the Quran.
Rally, but it appears protesters took him down before that did happen. Another video actually showed a man chased into a parking garage and struck in the head with a flagpole by anti-ICE demonstrators. He was then apparently pepper sprayed by the crowd there. Again, you're seeing some of the video here of all of this unfolding just yesterday outside of City Hall in Minneapolis. We also have some of the video coming in out of that area yesterday as tear gas was deployed. Now, a judge ruled federal officers in Minneapolis taking part in the U.S. immigration enforcement operation in Minneapolis cannot detain or tear gas protesters who are not obstructing the enforcement officers, and that would include people
this is brutal,
observing the agents as they are doing their work. U.S. District Judge Kate Menendez's ruling addresses a case filed in December on behalf of 6 Minnesota activists.
What's up, brother Steve Easy? Hopefully you're enjoying your morning so far.
Are among the thousands who have been observing the activities of ICE and Border Patrol who are in the city to enforce the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. President Trump has now threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act, allowing for the deployment of U.S.
And good morning, Tiffany, as well. All you guys.
Military forces to Minnesota and Minneapolis if state officials do not crack down on any violent protests that are taking place. Of course, we will continue to follow all of this and bring you much more information on Live Now from Fox.
Of course, that's what we do. We follow this shit. All right, we're moving on, though. As you guys know, we were reporting for quite a while, actually, the last week of the NYC, New York City's nurses are on strike. We're talking thousands of nurses. I mean, it's a big deal. Now, yesterday was day 7 of their protests, or their strike. I'm sorry, used the wrong word. Of their strike. And today is the 8th day. But the latest update that we have from them is from yesterday. So they don't have any update this morning. But we do have an update from yesterday. So we're going to play that right here, right now.
Welcome back to Live Now from Fox, and thanks for
We've been following this.
Joining us on this Sunday. I want to turn our attention now to some of the biggest stories coming out of New York City, and one of those being that nurses are striking across NYC. Taking a look here at a social media post from Mayor Mamdani, he says this: nurses show up in our darkest moments. 9/11, the pandemic, every illness and emergency. Their worth is not negotiable. Fair pay, safe conditions, dignity now. NYC stands with nurses and demands good faith bargaining for justice and care for all. Joining us now to discuss this even further is Lisa Evers with our team at Fox 5 in New York. Lisa, always good to have you. And this strike is major.
It is major, Corral. There's no way to underplay it or to downplay it, as some people have tried to do. The fact of the matter is there are about 15,000 nurses in New York.
There's 15,000 nurses in New York, period. But how many are on strike?
New York City on strike right now.
Oh, wow. Those are the numbers of them on strike. 15,000 fucking nurses on strike. I didn't know it was that many. I thought it was a couple thousand. Damn.
The fact of the matter is there are about 15,000 nurses in New York City on strike right now. This is the largest nurses strike that has happened ever in city history, according to the official records and everything that we could find out. And what it is it's affecting 3 major private hospital systems. So the New York City public hospital system, like Bellevue Hospital, Harlem Hospital, Lincoln Hospital, these big major publicly funded city hospitals, they're remaining open. But this network, these 15,000 nurses work at this network, 3 major networks. It's about 10 separate actual hospital campuses in New York City. Some of the most prestigious hospitals in the city and in the United States are involved in this. And the thing that's so interesting about this is that one of the main issues that is coming out that people are dismissing, but I know as a crime reporter is very serious, is the safety. You can see that we had horrible weather earlier this week. These are some of the nurses, red as their...
Man, that is just miserable being out there like this. Jesus.
Collars, so they're wearing, if you see anybody at these protests, at these rallies wearing red, they're either nurses or in support of the nurses. They're wearing scarves, hats, you see the red ponchos there. But one of the big issues, Corral, has been safety, their actual personal safety. There has been such a rise, in violence against nurses in these hospital settings. I mean, we've seen it in some of the public city hospitals. Just last week, in one of the hospitals where the nurses are now on strike, one of the Presbyterian system, part of that system, New York Presbyterian system in Brooklyn, the Brooklyn Methodist Presbyterian, they ended up having a 62-year-old man who was a patient at the hospital, stabbed himself with some sort of sharp object, then barricade himself in a room, a regular hospital room, with another patient and with a security guard, threatening to kill them if anybody opened the door and tried.
What's up, brother TVT? Good morning. Great to see you in the chat.
To get them. They had to call the NYPD. The NYPD shows up. They try to negotiate with this man. The whole situation just completely escalated and then just devolved. And the NYPD ended up shooting and killing this individual man. But you can imagine the level of violence. There you are. You're treating your registered nurse. And full disclosure, my late mother, may she rest in peace, was a registered nurse at Kings County Hospital in Brooklyn. These nurses are dealing now with severe mental health crises, people who are violently mentally ill, who have no place else to go. They're just walking into these emergency rooms. There's pretty much a lot of the nurses could give you stories of people that came into the ER with guns. There was one city hospital, they wanted to put a bulletproof glass between the triage office, like the check-in office when you go into an emergency room, to protect their nurses. But even in these private hospitals, because they have a mandate to serve, have their emergency rooms open, they're dealing with this. And even when patients are admitted, there's no control over what's happening. And this is not just a negotiating ploy. The statistics back it up. The New York Nurses United, not New York, the National Nurses United, excuse me. This is a national union of registered nurses who are among the most highly trained nurses in the whole nursing chain and nursing profession.
Wow, this shit it's already out of control. We're talking 15,000 in total.
They did a survey of their members.
Striking.
This is across the United.
They may not be on the actual line, the front line picketing and all that stuff, but they're not working. So 15,000 nurses are not working right now. That's a lot of fucking nurses, dude.
States. In 2024, 8 out of 10 registered nurses in the United States personally experienced an incident of workplace violence, being physically threatened, being hit, being hurt, something of that nature. That is stunning, and it's unacceptable because these nurses are there providing life-saving care to many, many people. And Correll, if you've ever had a relative in the hospital, whether it's a kid, whether it's an elderly parent, somebody that's there in the hospital, yes, the doctors do their job. Yes, the doctors are the heroes, but it's really the nurses who are the unsung heroes in so many of the cases in the treatment of our loved ones and ourselves, because they're the ones that provide that continuity of care when you want to find out, is this person, is my loved one going to have to get an operation? Are they going for x-rays? What's going on? All of these types of things. They're really the glue that holds this hospital system together. So for people who look at the strike and say, well, here's another union, they're asking for everything unions always ask for, more money and better benefits. Well, this one, the better working conditions is a real issue here, Correll. That's why there's been so much energy on this, so much attention. Mir Mamdani was on the picket line with the nurses, and it speaks to obviously to one of his core campaign themes of affordability. But it's even beyond that, because they want the pensions that they signed on for to be able to earn after years and years and decades of service to still be there when it's time for them to retire. They want to have the safety, because right now most of the hospitals, the city hospitals, have what they call hospital police. They have a little bit more authority, but these private hospitals, they have security guards who are not necessarily law enforcement trained. They're there as a presence. They're wearing a uniform. They have a radio, but they're dealing with individuals, violent mentally ill individuals who are a small percentage of the mentally ill population, but
they're not, they feel like they're not protected against these mentally ill. So part of the things they're striking for is protections against these mentally ill patients, stuff like that. Yes, they want a pay raise, which, I mean, it's totally understandable. I mean, fuck, we need nurses, dude. It's just way of life. And they're doing power in numbers right now. Trust me, the hospitals are losing their shit right now. I can guarantee that. All right, we're going to move on. Trump responds after Iran leader calls him a quote-unquote criminal. Let's go ahead and bring this up.
Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox, 2:08 on the East Coast and 11:08 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Breslow, and I do want to get you to some breaking news that we are following right now coming in out of Iran, as Iranian officials now confirming to Reuters that at least 5,000 people have died during weeks of protests against the regime, as those demonstrations appear to be dying down. Again, this is a post right here from Reuters saying an Iranian official said Sunday the authorities had verified at least 5,000 people had been killed in protests in Iran, including about 500 security personnel. Again,
now, that's an Iranian official that said this on Sunday, that they are verifying at least 5,000 people have been killed in the protests in Iran. That's crazy, including about 500 security personnel. Wow.
All of this developing here at this hour as we do continue to cover everything related to those protests. Take a look. This is from...
What's up, Bob? Good morning. Great to see you in the chat. Hopefully you're enjoying your Monday morning so far.
Just days ago there, President Trump continuing to call for an end to the reign of Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, telling Politico, quote, it's time to look for new leadership in Iran. Just a day after President Trump thanked Iran for stopping the hangings of more than 800 protesters, Iran's supreme leader took to social media calling Trump a, quote, criminal, saying he was responsible for the violence and the unrest there across Iran. After seeing those posts from the supreme leader, President Trump told Politico of Khamenei, quote, what he is guilty of as the leader of a country is the complete destruction of the country and the use of violence at levels never seen before. You can see it right there on your screen. He goes on to say, in order to keep the country functioning, even though that function is a very low level, the leadership should focus on running his country properly like I do with the United States and not killing people by the thousands in order to keep control. And
damn. Shots fired.
I do want to talk much more about the situation here, as there are still talks about that potential military intervention in Iran.
Nah, we're not going to talk about potentiality. We're not going to speculate. We're not going to do none of that. We're moving on then. I care about what is happening, okay? Not what we speculate what is happening. All right, we're moving on. 1,500 troops prepare for Minneapolis deployment amid protests. Let's go ahead and bring this up. We'll go ahead and talk about it. Quickly, let me go ahead and get this up here. Boom, there we go.
Now, I do want to get you right back into some of the big headlines that we are covering here as President Trump's administration is preparing 1,500 troops for potential deployment over to Minnesota amid the protests and unrest following this month's shooting death of Renee Good by an ICE officer there in Minneapolis. A senior U.S. official confirming the information to Fox News Digital, saying the U.S. Army's 11th Airborne Division, based in Alaska, has been given orders to prepare for deployment. That division, by the way, specializes in cold weather and mountain warfare. The Washington Post first to report all of this. President Trump threatened just days ago to invoke the Insurrection Act, allowing for the deployment of U.S. military forces to Minnesota if state officials do not crack down on the anti-ICE agitators. There is a lot to discuss, as always, on this topic, so I do want to bring in a friend of the show right here. We do have Jeff Weninger, retired LAPD lieutenant, law enforcement expert, founder, and CEO of Law Enforcement Consultants. Now, he's also the author of On Thin Ice, an LAPD veteran's journey to reimagine policing. Thank you so much for taking the time, Jeff, to be here with us today.
Well, it looks like they're getting ready for the Insurrection Act. It looks like they're getting prepared. It's kind of like when your warships go into different waters to just prepare. They've got the people there. They've got the equipment there. Yeah.
Of course. And first off, I did kind of want to ask you about the Insurrection Act itself and how that could potentially be invoked in this case specifically. What authority does President Trump or any president have to do that?
Well, I think before we begin to speak about the Insurrection Act, it's important that we understand what the premise in the United States generally is under normal circumstances. And it's under the Pax Comitatus Act, wherein it is prohibited that we use military personnel for any type of activity in regards to domestic law enforcement activity. Now, there is an exception to that, where President Trump has nearly a unfiltered ability and authority to implement a circumstance where he would deploy military resources into this type of a circumstance. But it's very narrowly defined. And there's three circumstances where that would be appropriate. And it's appropriate if you have significant...
Yeah, Steve Easy, that happened on, I think, on Thursday or Friday last week. And I saw that too. I was shocked too.
Civil disturbance, you have an insurrection or rebellion. And now it doesn't mean that these can't go unchallenged. They can be challenged in court. In this circumstance, I'm certain that the state officials in Minnesota would be filing suit in court to determine the appropriateness.
That's when this guy threw baloney on the ice, whatever, fucking his vehicle there. It was pretty funny. This guy's literally throwing baloney slices onto ice fucking vehicles. Like, what are you doing, bro?
Of this. You could also just have the courts intervene at a federal level without a lawsuit necessarily being filed. And really what they would be looking at is, do we really have the circumstances where the criteria of one of those three instances that I stated just a moment ago are actually met? Or is it being done in bad faith and it's objectively baseless? So essentially, that's where we would stand in regards to this, the decision to deploy the military under the Insurrection Act.
And what you're looking at is some of the video that we did receive from, this was a little more than a week ago. It was at the hotels where those ICE agents were believed to be staying. Of course, no confirmation they were actually there, but the protesters, we're talking dozens of them, showed up at several different hotels in basically trying to find those different.
Yes, we already know this. We already sat here and reported when they went into these hotels, started destroying them, all that shit. They're not telling me anything aside from the 1,500 troops that are being sent over to Minneapolis to be prepared. And it sounds like there's a possibility of the Insurrection Act. And now, of course, the Insurrection Act, the Trump administration has been, hey, it's not off the table. That's what they've said this whole time. So it could definitely be invoked for sure. All right, we're going to be moving on into UK Prime Minister Starmer pushes back against Trump tariff threats. So yes, as you guys know, there is a handful of countries, any of them that back basically Greenland, which are a lot of European countries. Trump has threatened a tariff, which is not just a threat, it's actually being implemented February 1st, 10% tariff on all of these countries, as well as in June, if it hasn't been, where Greenland is now in the United States control, then the tariff moves up to 25%. So now the UK Prime Minister is going to go ahead and speak about it real quick.
Good morning. The world has become markedly more turbulent in recent weeks. Events are moving fast. And in moments like this, what matters most is being clear about the values and the interests that guide us, even as circumstances change. The United Kingdom has a long history. Our values were not improvised. They were built patiently over time. And while we are pragmatic in how we pursue our interests, we are resolute in defending those values when it matters. So let me begin with the United States. The UK and the US are close allies and close partners. That relationship matters profoundly, not just to our security, but to the prosperity and the stability that people here depend upon. Under President Trump, as under
Hold on real quick. We got Brother Sterling Wheel coming in with the membership re-up for 4 months saying, good morning, kids. Become a member. Yes, sir. I advocate that. Thank you very much for making it rain in the chat. I very much appreciate that. Thank you for the 4 months. Very valued channel member, by the way.
Previous presidents. We're determined to keep that relationship strong, constructive, and focused on results. And that approach is delivering. Through sustained engagement, we've seen significant US investment into the UK economy, running into hundreds of billions of pounds, supporting growth, skills, and jobs right across the country. Our cooperation on defence, nuclear capability, and intelligence remains as close and effective as anywhere in the world, keeping Britain safe in an increasingly dangerous environment. We've secured good trading terms in key sectors, including cars, steel, aerospace, and life sciences, protecting British jobs and manufacturers. That is why we take the approach that we do, because it delivers concrete outcomes in the national interest. I talk regularly to President Trump, and my team is in daily contact with all the key figures in his administration. These relationships matter. They deliver concrete outcomes in the national interest. Mature alliances are not about pretending differences don't exist. They are about addressing them directly, respectfully, and with a focus on results. On Greenland, the right way to approach an issue of this seriousness is through calm discussion between allies. And let's be clear, the security of Greenland matters. And it will matter more as climate change reshapes the Arctic, as sea routes open and strategic competition intensifies. The High North will require greater attention, greater investment, and stronger collective defense.
Holy shit, real quick, we got my man Sick Bastard giving out 5 memberships. Let's go, bro. I very much appreciate that. That not only helps me, but it helps 5 others in the Insane Wheels family. So I very much appreciate that. Thank you very much, Sick Bastard. You made it fucking rain, cuh. Very much appreciate that. Let's go.
The United States will be central to that effort. And the UK stands ready to contribute fully alongside our allies through NATO. But there is a principle here that cannot be set aside, because it goes to the heart of how stable and trusted international cooperation works. And so any decision about the future status of Greenland belongs to the people of Greenland and the Kingdom of Denmark alone. That right is fundamental, and we support it. Denmark is a close ally of the United Kingdom and of the United States, a proud NATO member that has stood shoulder to shoulder with us, including at real human cost in recent decades. Alliances endure because they're built on respect and partnership, not pressure. That is
all I hear right now. I'm sorry. Just being honest. All right. I think we're ready and prepared now. Let's go.
Why I said the use of tariffs against allies is completely wrong. It is not the right way to resolve differences within an alliance. Nor is it helpful to frame efforts to strengthen Greenland's security as a justification for economic pressure. Such measures hurt British workers, British businesses, and the British economy. And that is why I've been so clear on this issue. A trade war is in no one's interest, and my job is always to act in the UK's national interest. That is why yesterday I spoke to President Trump to European leaders and to the Secretary General of NATO to find a solution rooted in partnership, facts, and mutual respect, because that is how strong alliances protect shared interests. The same is true on other issues. In the Middle East, we welcome President Trump's focus on sustaining the ceasefire in Gaza and moving on to phase 2. We are open to participating constructively in such efforts. On Ukraine, I can be brief. We strongly support efforts to bring the killing to an end and secure a ceasefire as soon as possible. We recognise President Trump's role in pushing that process forward, and we will work closely with the United States, Ukraine, and our other allies to apply pressure where it belongs on Putin. Finally, let me say why all this matters so directly to people here at home. In today's world, geopolitics is not something that happens somewhere else. It shapes the cost of energy, the price of food, the security of jobs, and the stability that families rely on to plan their lives. When war drives up fuel prices, it's households who feel it first. When supply chains fracture, it's small businesses and working people.
Yes, but please get to it. I'm not going to listen to this whole thing. We still got another story to get into where multiple people were killed in Spain during a train collision. At least 39 people were killed and dozens of others were injured after 2 high-speed trains collided in southern Spain on Sunday evening. And they just reported that just an hour ago. So we got to get to that here in a minute.
Absorb the shock. And when instability grows, it's rarely those with the most power who pay the price. That is why this government's approach is rooted in a simple belief that we must use every tool of government, domestic and international, to fight for the interests of ordinary people. At home, that means active government. It means taking responsibility for economic stability so that inflation is controlled, interest rates come down, and family budgets are protected. It means stepping in where markets fail, strengthening resilience, and ensuring that global shocks do not always land on the same people in the same places, the people least able to withstand them. That's why we've taken action to reduce energy bills, to freeze rail fares and prescription charges. But tackling the cost of living today also means engagement beyond our borders. It requires shaping the world around us, not retreating from it. It requires strong alliances, steady diplomacy, and rules that reduce uncertainty rather than amplify it. That is why our commitment to international law and to alliances founded on trust is not abstract or ideological. It's practical. It's about stability, predictability, and fairness. The conditions that keep prices down, jobs secure, and economies resilient. That is what active government looks like in an age of uncertainty. Steady at home, engaged abroad, and always focused on protecting the people that we serve. Britain is a pragmatic country. We look for agreement. We believe in partnership. We prefer solutions to slogans. And we will not indulge in commentary and gesture politics that harm the British people. But being pragmatic does not mean being passive. And partnership does not mean abandoning principle. That is why it's important to be clear about who we stand with, what we stand for, and where our interests lie. Now, this is a moment for the whole country to pull together. So I warmly welcome the support we've had with regards to Greenland and the proposed tariffs from the leader of the opposition. I thank her for her support. At moments like this, there will always be people who reach for the performative, who think an angry social media post.
Oh my goodness.
Or grandstanding.
Please.
A few moments later.
Just wrap it up. Land the plane right here, please.
Is a substitute for hard work. That's an understandable instinct. But it's not effective. It never has been. It may make politicians feel good, but it does nothing for working people whose jobs, livelihoods, and security rely on the relationships that we build across the world. So to conclude, we will work with our allies in Europe, across NATO, and with the United States. We will keep dialogue open. We will defend international law. And we will use the full strength of government at home and abroad to protect the security, living standards, and future of the British people. That is the approach I will take as Prime Minister. And that is the responsibility that this moment demands. Thank you. I'm now going to take some questions.
No need.
I've got a fairly
You got your monologue out. We're moving on to our last and final story. We did a good job of consolidating everything. 13 stories, by the way, in just over an hour, which sucks. You know, I try to do this and consolidate it into exactly an hour, but it is what it is. All right, multiple people killed in Spain train collision. This is a little bit of a gnarly story. Sorry to hear so many people got hurt and killed over this.
We want to turn now to a breaking news development regarding a train collision that happened in Spain early on Monday. Take a look at this, some of the footage that we have gathered from overnight, as we know now that death toll has grown. The Associated Press saying this, that Spanish police say at least 39 people are confirmed dead in a high-speed rail collision the previous night in the south of the country when the tail end of a train jumped the track, causing another train speeding past in the opposite direction to derail. The impact tossed the second train's lead carriages off the track, sending them plummeting down a 4-meter slope or 13-foot slope. Some bodies were found hundreds of meters from the crash site. That's according to the regional president in the area, who described the wreckage as, quote, a mass of twisted metal with bodies likely still to be found inside. Efforts to recover the bodies continued on this Monday, and the death toll is likely to rise. Authorities are also focusing on attending hundreds of distraught families, and their family members have asked them to provide DNA samples to help in the identification of the victims. We have some more footage here just showing the aftermath of that wreckage. Now, the crash occurred on Sunday at 7:45 p.m. when the tail end of the train carrying 289 passengers on the route from Malaga to the capital, Madrid, went off the rails at 7:45 p.m. It slammed into an incoming train traveling from Madrid to Huelva, another southern Spanish city, according to the rail operator. The head of the second train, which was carrying nearly 200 passengers, took the brunt of the impact. That collision knocked its first two carriages off the track, and it appeared the largest number of the deaths occurred in those carriages. Authorities said all of these survivors had been rescued in the early morning, and on Monday morning, emergency services were still searching for the remainder of those bodies. Now, various Spaniards who had loved ones traveling on the trains posted messages on social media saying they were unaccounted for and pleading for any information in this situation. Video and photos showed twisted train cars lying on their sides under floodlights late on Sundays, and passengers reported climbing out of smashed windows, with some using emergency hammers to break the glass. Authorities said 159 people were injured, and as of Monday, that included 11 adults and 1 child who was still in critical condition. Some more information on this. Now, the collision took place near Ademuz, a town in the province of Córdoba.
Damn, that is a high speed, 130 miles per hour. Damn.
About 370 kilometers south of Madrid. A sports center in the area was turned into a makeshift hospital, and the Spanish Red Cross set up a help center offering assistance to emergency services and people seeking information. Members of the Civil Guard and Civil Defense worked on the site throughout.
Yeah, this is miserable.
The day. Spanish King Felipe expressed his condolences on Monday, adding that the royal house was looking into a visit to the area in the coming days. The Spanish flag was flown at half-mast in front of Parliament in Madrid for the victims on Monday. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez will visit the site on Monday, according to his office, and he is expected to also hold a news conference. Those remarks are likely going to be all in Spanish. If there is translation, we'll bring them to you here at Live Now from Fox.
Man, and of course, we're going to be following all of these stories as well. So that's what we do Monday through Friday, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I can't thank you guys enough. Thank you guys for the engagement, the donations, your guys' live chats, comments, hitting that like button. Man, that goes a freaking long way. I'm very appreciative of being able to do this Monday through Friday. And then, of course, Saturday morning for members only. It's a great time. All right, so stick around. We're going to be rating our buddy John Galt. He's actually a very interesting character. Make sure you guys stick around for that. Make sure you let him know we're coming through with the Mike Ball / Insane Wheels raid. So, all right, much love, honor, respect, everybody. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning for more of the world's madness, of course. Until then, God bless everyone. We'll see you guys very soon, and stay safe out there.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges, a host with a fire burning.